Hey, this is Duke Nukem, and you're on Corpse Flood Gaming, baby. You got balls as steel. Those other guys, they suck.
Hey guys, I just got back from the Midwest Gaming Classic in Milwaukee and it was awesome. I thought I'd just share a little bit of my experience today with you as well as my pickups and we'll see what I got. Stick around. All right, like I was saying, MGC 2018 was an awesome experience right from the get-go. Even the whole trip there, being a 12-hour drive for myself, it was it was worth every minute of it. My wife and I left Canada and drove to Minneapolis and met up with the rest of our group, and then we left Minneapolis for Milwaukee, which was another about 4.5 hours. It was awesome. It was fun people to travel with. And MGC 2018 is my first gaming convention experience, and it knocked it out of the park as far as I'm concerned. The vendor floor was pretty awesome. The arcades and specialty rooms were all really cool. And I got to be on my first gaming panel, which was just an amazing experience for me. But probably my favorite part of all was meeting a bunch of people who I'd been friends with forever.
You son of a bitch.
Meeting all the people that I've been friends with was probably the best part of the convention, and everything else was definitely the icing on the cake. And speaking of icing, we'll get right into these pickups. Starting off with some N64 stuff, I got Battle Tanks, which unfortunately I already have. For some reason, I have the manual for the second one and the game of the first one, and I keep confusing it and thinking that I need the first one, but next time I'll definitely remember. I don't know how I even mix them up. One is gray, the other is green. So that's my only misstep so far with the collecting. Being the first one, I just thought I'd get that out of the way. And moving on, we got Milo's Astro Lanes. Looks like some weird futuristic bowling game. I didn't have that. Figured I'd pick it up. We got WCW Nitro and ECW Hardcore Revolution. Those are the last two wrestling games I needed for the N64. I'm a big fan of wrestling games, especially the old school ones. I know neither of those are very good because I've played them before, but most of these N64 games I got for dirt cheap, like $1. I think a couple of them were $1 or $2, and some were like $4. So I couldn't pass those up just to add to the collection. Next up, I got South Park Rally, which completes the subset for South Park games for the N64. I've already got Chef's Love Shack and just the regular South Park game. It's just like a knockoff Mario Kart that isn't nearly as good, but like I said, add it to the collection for cheap. And next up, we got Command and Conquer, some good old RTS action. I've never played this version, so I'm looking forward to giving that a try. Also got Aero Fighters Assault. Never played that one either, so looking forward to trying that out. But definitely the best of the N64 games I got was, finally, I got Mario Party 3. As I've said before, the Mario Party games elude me somehow. They're super popular, they're not a low print run or anything, but I never seem to run into them in the wild. So finally I've got all three N64 copies, and I'm so happy about it. I was really tempted to grab a couple of the heavy hitters and kind of bundle them together while there, but I just couldn't pull the trigger and do that. So maybe next time. Next up, we'll just do some Genesis games. I got some pretty awesome Genesis games here. We'll start it off with the only loose one I picked up. I finally got a copy of Phantasy Star 2. The Phantasy Star games are all awesome. I love all of the ones I've played. I've either played them through the original hardware or through one of the like Sega collections, but I've always wanted to own all of them, and I've owned 1, 3, and 4 for a long time. So it's finally good to get the least expensive and least rare one that somehow I didn't come across before for the right price anyway. Next up was, I think, probably my favorite pickup of the convention, just because of the story behind it. I picked up Truxton in box. There's no manual, but when I popped it open to look at the cart, behind the cart there was a $10 bill, so I got an instant rebate. I already got it for a good price, and thinking that the $10 rebate was definitely worth it. Next up, I got another one for a collection that I've pretty much completed by this point, and that's Wonder Boy in Monsterland. I've got all the Wonder Boys for the Master System. I've got the Wonder Boy remake for the PS4, and I've got the Wonder Boy for the TurboGrafx disc system, and basically the only one I'm missing now, I think, is the Game Gear. If I'm missing a different one, let me know. Another one I'm happy to finally add to the collection is Shining Force. This is in awesome condition. It's complete, and I've had the second one complete in box for quite a while, so I'm happy to have them both together now. And another from my favorite film franchise, at least the first two, I've got the Terminator on Genesis. I don't think I've ever played the first game, but I think I remember hearing that it was a good version, so look forward to checking that out. And while at a panel for the Video Game Bullshit podcast, it was all about hidden gems, and during that they mentioned this game, and that was Zero Tolerance, which is a first-person shooter on the Genesis. That right there made it something I had to pick up immediately. That about does it for the Genesis games. I got one Master System game. This isn't technically from the convention, but I got it from my friend Church, who I traveled with from Minneapolis to Milwaukee and back, and he just threw this at me. It was great football. I'm glad I didn't have to buy that. I'm not big on football games, but as you know, I'm going for a full set of Master System games, so that's definitely welcome to be added to the collection. That's the only Master System game I got. One of my big things I wanted to do at this convention was load up on all the Master System games I needed, as many as I could. And I really didn't see much, maybe one or two here or there. I kind of just wanted to like bulk buy a bunch, and I only seen one that really stood out to me, and that was Elf. I didn't end up grabbing that one. I was gonna go back for it, and I kind of forgot. So yeah, that was one big boo for the convention. It was the lack of Master System.
All right, guys, let's go spend our monies. I'm in trouble.
Poorhouse, here I come.
Wow, look at all that cool crap. And with all that cool crap, you'd think I could find one of the Yakuza games I was looking for. There was only 4 of them to look for, but nope. Oh well, moving on. Some other cool stuff. I got a couple GameCube games here. First off, I got Teen Titans. My kids and I love watching Teen Titans Go. I know a lot of people who are Teen Titans fans hate that show, but having little kids really warmed me up to this show. It was pretty awesome, so I think they'll enjoy playing that game with me. I know it's based off the older Teen Titans show, but nevertheless, I'm sure they'll like it. And next up, I got Lost Kingdoms 2. I've had the first one for a while, and I've actually never gotten to play it, but it's always looked really cool to me, so I'm happy to add the second one too and have another cool looking game in the backlog, especially for the GameCube. It feels like I've been kind of slacking on the GameCube collecting lately. And this one is probably what I wanted the most for the GameCube for the longest time. I missed out on it a little while ago. I keep seeing it, but I don't feel like paying the price it's going for. I got an awesome deal on this complete, and that is Eternal Darkness. I'm a huge horror fan, so I've wanted that for way too long. I almost bought it on Amazon a couple times. I almost bought it in a store a couple times, but I finally got it for a price that I thought was pretty kick-ass. Alright, next up, we will do some Super Nintendo games. Why not? I got 16 of them, which is good because I haven't been really getting a lot of Super Nintendo lately, so it was good to add on to that. Started off with kind of a bunk one, but it was cheap, and you know what? I figured I'd grab it anyway. And that is Ultraman, which is a fighting game based on the old Japanese show that's kind of tied to the Godzilla series in a way. Next up, we got a Blizzard game, and that is Blackthorn. I've always wanted to try this out since hearing about it, so I'm glad to finally add that to the collection for a good price. And another one that actually is the last one I needed for this trilogy, and that is Soul Blazer. Super excited to get that. I got it for a pretty good price. Just about everything I got at the con I was expecting to pay like store prices, but the haggle game was strong, and I don't think I paid really full price for anything there, or like going rate, so it made the experience even better. Picked up a couple other cool games here. Next is Raiden Trad, which is another shooter in the Raiden series. Next one is a recommendation from Chris, the old ass retro gamer, saying it was one of his favorites, and that is Excalibur 2097. I'm looking forward to cracking into this, especially on his recommend. Next one here we got is Brainlord. I remember hearing about this one and it looked pretty cool, and I love most of the NX games that I've played for the Super Nintendo, so why not add that to the set? And another one that completes a subset for the Super Nintendo for me is Romance of the Three Kingdoms 2 and 3. I already have 4, so that's pretty cool. I like the strategy games a bit, so why not? They were cheap. Another one that's it's a different take on the beat 'em up genre, and that is Spawn, the video game. It's got kind of like a fighting game element to it, and I thought that was really cool. I played a little bit of it a while ago, and I thought, you know, I like Spawn in general, so it was one I had to pick up, and it was on the cheap. So as always, when something's cheap, why not pick it up? Next here, I got Tecmo Secret of the Stars. I've never played this one, but I've always wanted to check it out. I thought it's kind of weird that they put Tecmo at the front of there. Usually you hear Tecmo, you think football or something sports and lame. And moving on, got myself RoboCop 3. Not an awesome game, but I like RoboCop, so I bought it. What are you gonna do about it? What I do like is shoot 'em ups though, and Earth Defense Force is another one that I finally picked up. And here's another one that I think Chris, the old ass retro gamer, likes this a little bit, and that's ActRaiser. He's mentioned it in passing a couple of times, so I thought, hey, maybe I'll grab that. And the next one, another RPG to a collection that I've been kind of chipping away at, and that is Ultima, Runes of Virtue 2. I've never played this one, but I've always liked the Ultima games at least a little bit, so why not add that to the set? And next is one I'm super excited to get, and that is Sunset Riders. I couldn't believe the price they had on this, and being a cheap ass, I still haggled and got it for a bit cheaper. There were some guys selling their entire Super Nintendo set. They had the complete set, even like the Star Fox Weekend cart and stuff like that. They had a pretty impressive collection. I got there pretty early on Saturday, but they said they'd offloaded a whole bunch of it already. They got there Friday night, and yeah, they said they had the complete set and it was already sold down to what I saw. They still had a lot of quality stuff left, including this, so I was more than happy to take that off their hands. And probably what I'm the most excited to get out of all my Super Nintendo games was this one here, and that's Batman and Robin from the Adventures of Batman animated series. So it's a game that's been on my list for a while. I have the Genesis version. This one is by far a way better game than that one. So that's it for my Super Nintendo stuff. We'll move on. We'll move on to the NES now. So I didn't get a lot of NES, but I got some pretty quality NES stuff. I don't know how I missed this the first day, but on the second day I saw it and was like, where was this yesterday? And the guy was like, oh, I was right here the whole time. And it was actually the first two releases from Retro Limited. First one being Splatterhouse, Wampaku Graffiti, I believe this is called, in Japan, and it was never released over here. So I love the Splatterhouse games, and this was a must-have for the set. It looks like I got number 42 of 100, so I'd say that's limited 100 copies. Glad to be part of that. And the second one is the one I was like kind of just saying like, oh man, I've been looking for this. I thought I'd see it somewhere, and yeah, I was looking for it, but in all the wrong places apparently, because I got a copy of the new Ghostbusters 2, which is the PAL version that I think only came out in Europe, which is the actually good Ghostbusters 2 game. It's by HAL Laboratories, and it's leaps and bounds ahead of both the other NES games. And I got copy 35 of 50 of that one. It's a really cool looking cart too. I haven't opened it yet, but it's a glow in the dark cart. It's pretty cool. I've seen some cooler ones where they've got like slime inside them. I'm not sure if it's actually like physical slime or if it's just painted on slime, but those look pretty cool too. Next up is some stuff I am super excited to finally complete a set I've been going for, and that is the last 3 Mega Mans that I needed. I was halfway there for the longest time, and I was just sick of not having these. I've got the collections, I've got this and that way of playing them, but I've always wanted just to have all the NES copies of Mega Man. So of course I got Mega Man 1, Mega Man 4, and Mega Man 6, and I got a killer deal on all of these. The first day I got 4 and 6. I kind of bundled them with some other stuff and got them for cheaper than they were already going. And I browsed. I didn't just buy stuff as I saw it. I saw Mega Man for 45, the first one, 45 at this one place, and I was like, all right, cool. I'll look around, and went back later because it was the cheapest one that I saw. It was gone, of course, and then I was like, but I got 4 and 6. I need to get the last one. So I looked everywhere, and there was $69, $75 on copies, and I was like, nah, I don't need them that bad. I ended up finding it on Sunday because I was like, I really hope they have it. Maybe someone restocked some stuff since yesterday, and I ended up finding another copy for cheaper than the original copy I saw. So holding out is almost always a good idea. And I ended up bundling that with this one. Actually, both these I ended up bundling with that Mega Man, and that is Darkwing Duck. Who doesn't love to get dangerous? And one that I'm really ashamed I didn't have yet, especially with how many NES games I got, and that's DuckTales. Who doesn't love DuckTales? The best game ever. Not ever, but it's a good game.
Underwhelmed, Chris?
Alright, next we're going to go with a couple of onesies and twosies I grabbed for various systems. And we're going to start things out with the original Game Boy, and that is the real Ghostbusters. I'm a huge Ghostbusters fan, so that should be no surprise. Next up, Chris Sealdass Retro Gamer brought some stuff, actually we all did, for a giveaway we wanted to do at the end of our panel that we never really got to do. So he just slid me a couple of the games afterwards, and one of those was Spider-Man for the Game Gear. So finally I've got a Game Gear game worth checking out. So, and I love my Spider-Man, so cannot wait to check that out. And next up for the DS, I grabbed Kirby Mass Attack. As I've been saying on the podcast a lot lately, the girls and I have been loving Kirby Star Allies. So I'm hoping to move that Kirby love into the older games and have them check those out. And hopefully spark a lifelong Kirby love. Next up, for the Wii U, I grabbed a couple games I bundled together, and I got them together for cheaper than I saw one of them anywhere else at the con, so I'm glad I grabbed them right when I saw them instead of shopping around. And that is Splatoon and Pokken Tournament. Yeah, they were going for like, I think they had them up for 20 each. Anywhere else I saw them at the con, they were like 40, 45 bucks. So I got the two of those for 30, and I couldn't be happier. There's a couple games I've been wanting to check out for a while anyway. I'm not big on Pokemon, but Pokken Tournament looked like a pretty cool take on a fighting game, so thought I'd check it out, especially at that price. Next up, for the original Wii, I grabbed Arcrise Fantasia. It's a pretty cool looking RPG I've seen a little bit about, and it's always interested me, and this is the first chance I've even had to pick it up. I got it for a good price, so why not? I picked it up with this one as well, and that's Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. Fighting game I've been looking for a while too. I'm a big fighting game fan, and I keep seeing people talking about it, and I want to get in on that and check it out. And last but not least is one of the Wii games that I've been looking for forever for a decent price, and I finally found it for a price I was willing to pay, and that's the first Xenoblade Chronicles. I've been loving the other Xenoblade games that I've got to play, so I'm happy to go back to the original. I've got the 3DS version, so it'd be kind of cool to play a little bit of both of those and check them out and compare them a bit. Anyway, moving on to the 360, I grabbed a couple of cheapy games here. I finally finished off my SmackDown set with SmackDown vs. Raw 2010, which I thought I already owned, but I must have either borrowed it from a friend or rented it from the local rental store when my wife was a manager. Either way, I have it for PSP. Don't really count the handheld ports because, you know, they're generally a crappier version. It's an alright port, but good to have the console version, so I got my whole set now, right up to the newest one. And next up, I grabbed Borderlands the pre-sequel. I got that and SmackDown for, I think it was 2 for 10 or 2 for 8, something like that, so excellent price for the two of those. Next up was a game I wanted to upgrade, but I was actually not going to bother upgrading my copy because the night before the con, I saw some news from Sega that they were giving this game the HD remake treatment, and that was Shenmue 2. I already have Shenmue, like I said, it was just an upgrade copy, but I didn't have the DVD or the manual with it, so I was happy to see that. I got that on the last day of the con for a buy two, get one free kind of deal. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to do it. I was originally, Shenmue 1 was one of the games I was looking out for, and I was definitely going to pick up. But then when I saw that the HD remake was coming out, I figured I'm not going to bother. I'll put that money towards many other games. So that's exactly what I did.
It's windy.
No,
This win suffices for me.
We're going to go with the PS1 pile I picked up. I got some pretty good stuff in here too. Starting off with some pretty not good stuff, but a game I felt I had to pick up when I saw it for this price, and that is Magic the Gathering Battle Mage. Based off the card game that I love, it is not the card game at all. They, for some reason, went the RTS route with it, making it like the slowest moving game possible. It's total garbage. I owned it back in the day. I just had a disc-only copy when I first started getting into Magic, and it's ass. But for the price I saw it and the good condition it was in, I was just like, I should still pick it up. So I did. I don't know. I might regret it later on, but we'll see. And next up is the other game that Chris the Old Ass Retro Gamer gave me, and that is The Mummy. He told me it's a pretty good game, so I'm going to go with his recommend, and I'm going to check this out. It looks kind of like a Tomb Raider-esque game. You know, that can't be a bad thing. He's the movie guy, so he'll know the good movie games for sure. And speaking of movie games, I picked up another one I've been meaning to grab for quite a while, and that's Alien Trilogy. Every time I see someone playing this, I just go, oh, I gotta get that, and I never really seem to find it for a decent price, you know. So I know when I'm grabbing it, and then I always regret not grabbing it. So I finally grabbed that, and I grabbed it with this. X-Men Mutant Academy, and it is still sealed, which I thought was pretty cool. I grabbed that and Alien Trilogy together for 20 bucks, and I'll take that deal any day. Next up, finally some RPG action, and that is, I grabbed Vandal Hearts 1 and 2. I've been looking for these for a while. I passed them up a little bit last time as I picked up a few more games. I was really wanting more, but only slightly more, so I'm glad I picked them up this time, because I was always like, I should have just splurged and got them anyway. And another one, an oldie but a goodie, I got Diablo. Who doesn't love Diablo? And what more can I say about Diablo? Diablo on PS1, everybody. And as I said, I love my wrestling games, and Chit Chat Gaming actually recently picked this up and recommended it to me, so I thought for the price I saw it for, why not check it out? And that's Power Move Pro Wrestling. Looks kind of like a PlayStation version of the WCW games like Revenge and World Tour and stuff like that, so hopefully it's something like that. It would be awesome. Another one I got on the cheap. I've actually had this disc only for a while, but for the price that I saw it at, it was worth it even just for the case. But obviously the game, again, in good condition is welcome. Tenchu Stealth Assassins. I've had 2 for a while, and I never really actually count my disc only games as being in my collection, so I can now say that Tenchu Stealth Assassins is in my collection. Another game I got from Church before we even went down to the con is a game he was thrown in for the giveaway, and that is Evil Dead Hail to the King, baby. Evil Dead, not a great game, but I like Evil Dead enough that I want to own them anyway. I thought that was the last one I needed to have all 3, but it turns out I do not own Fistful of Boomsticks, so I will have to fix that. And it's kind of a bummer to realize it after the con, because I saw it a bunch of times at the con for really cheap. So maybe that'll just be something I'll wait and check out next year. Another game, it's kind of a placeholder. It was cheap, I grabbed it, but I'm definitely going to want to go after the Black Label version, as I have every other game from this series for PS1 in Black Label, and that's Final Fantasy Tactics. I thought I had that for the longest time, so I never even tried to pick it up, and then I was looking through my games one day and I noticed I don't have Tactics. I have Tactics on PSP, I have Tactics on Game Boy Advance, and I think I got another copy of, I don't know, maybe like DS or something, but I don't actually have the original one. So now I've got it, and I'm looking to upgrade to the Black Label immediately, because I'm not very OCD, but I'd like to have all my Final Fantasies in Black Label at least. And next up, another cheapy RPG, and that is Darkstone. Don't know much about it, but it looks kind of Diablo-esque, so hopefully it is. That's about it for PS1. Let's move on to PS2, and this is the last pile of games that I got. Starting it off with a Capcom game I keep hearing good stuff about, and it's a cheapie, so why not check it out? And that's Maximo and the Ghosts to Glory. Alrighty then. And another one, like I thought I owned the entire series, and it turned out I was missing one still, and that's Onimusha Dawn of Dreams. Great condition, both discs are there, so I'm happy to have that, and once again be able to say that I own all the Onimusha games. Speaking of completing a set, I now believe I have every Silent Hill game with getting 3 and 4. These have eluded me for quite a while for a good price, so I'm glad to finally pick those up. Super glad. Silent Hill is probably my favorite survival horror series, more so than Resident Evil. I think primarily because of Resident Evil's missteps and their kind of janky story. Silent Hills always tend to be a pretty solid series. I don't think I've played one I haven't enjoyed. So, right on. Next up is one game I actually didn't know existed until I saw it at Church's when I was looking through his game library, and that is Star Trek Voyager Elite Force. And it's built on the Quake engine, and it's like it's a Quake style shooter. Looks pretty badass, and I definitely have to check it out. Another game is actually towards my last discussion video about talking about series that I've never gotten to try out. This is another series that I have never tried out and I've always wanted to, but I've never owned any of the games. So I picked up Time Splitters 2. On the hunt for Time Splitters 1, and then I'm going to give those a try right away. I'm super excited to check that out. This game is an upgrade on my previous copy. That is Final Fantasy XII. I had the Greatest Hits version for a while. I saw that just nasty cheap. I don't even know why it was so cheap there. It's in good shape. It's complete. So I figured, you know what? My friend that I recently hooked up with a PS2 has been borrowing that. I'm just going to let him keep the other copy and have that one for myself. So sharing the wealth. And another one I've been wanting to check out for quite a while. After seeing Church's review, it really made me want to check it out even more, and that is Odin Sphere. He did the review on Leaf Thrasier, but I thought, I'll check out the OG version for cheap anyway, so why not? And another one of those games I picked up on like a 2 for 10 or 2 for 8 or whatever, that was Final Fantasy Dirge of Cerberus. I picked that up with Final Fantasy 12, I believe, and I was just like, 2 Final Fantasy games for under $10. Why not? Another one towards the series I'm trying to complete, and that is Xenosaga Episode 2. Only missing Episode 3 now, so getting closer. And yet another one for a series that I'm trying to complete. I only have one more game, I believe, for this series to get, and that's Suikoden Tactics. I think it's a limited edition with the soundtrack CD in it. Yep, there it is, the CD. So right on. All I need is the DS game. There's also a Game Boy Advance game. I think that's only I can only get a repro of that. I think it was only released in Japan. Not entirely sure on that, but I'll probably pick up the repro if it's not a North American release anyway. Next up, another one completing a set. I completed a lot of sets apparently. I forgot the first Disgaea game. I've got all the other ones. I don't know about the spin-off ones, but I know I have 1 through 5 and the DS version, so BDs. Next up is another shmup game for probably my favorite shmup series, and that is Raiden 3. Love it. And this is by far my favorite game I picked up at the entire con. One that I've been wanting forever, one that's been out of my grasp due to the huge price tag on it, but I found this at a super good deal. A guy I knew from the Minnesota group hooked me up with an awesome deal on this and a couple of my other games, and that is Dot Hack Quarantine. Finally got the quadrilogy. Super excited, and now I can finally start checking those games out, because like I said before, I didn't want to get 3/4 of the way through the story and then just be like, now what? I guess I'll watch the rest on YouTube. Saying that was my favorite game, that is not my favorite game-related experience from the con. My favorite game-related experience was meeting John St. John. I got him to sign my copy of Duke Nukem Forever. This isn't a game I bought there. I got that day one and got him to sign it. He was the coolest guy ever. He cut a promo for the channel, which you heard at the beginning of this video. And yeah, he hung out. He was just the nicest guy. He was happy to do do anything really. If you wanted a phone message, if you want him to, you know, record a video saying something to one of your buddies that missed out, something like that, he was just all over it. He was the coolest guy. And after meeting him, I was like, oh man, I should check out the newest reissue of Duke Nukem, the 20th anniversary. And I looked on the vendor floor and I couldn't really find it anywhere. So I was like, oh, bummer. Well, maybe I'll check out a GameStop or something on the way home and see if I can find it there, or maybe like Target or something. And I come out of the vendor hall on Sunday right as I'm actually rushing to our panel, and I look on his table and he's kind of gathering stuff up to go because he's trying to beat that nasty blizzard we got, and I saw a copy of it for Xbox out on his table, and I said, oh, hey man, how much you selling that for? And he goes, it's yours, man. And you got the last copy, you lucky son of a bitch. So, naturally, I opened it, and I got him to write that right on the case. Jason, here you go, you lucky son of a bitch. So, that is my prized possession, and the only new-gen game that I picked up this whole time. And for free? Absolutely.
Fancy places with the robot stairs.
Alright, that was it for the game pickups, but I still have a bunch of swag from the con and the trip in general. First up, there's my VIP badge for doing the panel, and to commemorate the panel and the experience in general, Chris the Old Ass Retro Gamer made all of us panel guys Midwest Gaming Classic shirts and put all our logos and everything on the back. So I am on a t-shirt. That is awesome. Thank you very much, Chris. That was one of the coolest things and one of my favorite shirts now. Besides, I got this one as well for the show. This one I'll be wearing sparingly so I don't wear it right out, but I love it. I'll probably wear it a bunch of times and then frame it actually. And other stuff I picked up during the trip from Taylor from Rising Blue Phoenix. He gave us all this Shadow of War promo item. That's actually a Celebrimbor's hammer, I believe it is. From, you know, use it to forge the One Ring. Pretty badass. And a couple other things I picked up at stores on the way. I grabbed the Michael Keaton Batmobile because I'm not big on Hot Wheels, but I'm big on the Batmobile, and I have probably like 15 different Batmobiles. So snagged that. Not exactly game related, but sue me. And of course I love my Zelda. I grabbed this cool pin set from a Target on the way back for, I think it was like $8 or something like that. The same Target, they had like kind of a clearance area, and I picked up a little Breath of the Wild Link. His box was just crushed beyond recognition, but he was fine, and he was like $3-4, so I figured I better save Link from this terrible fate. It couldn't have been any of the other World of Nintendo figures they had. It was just 2 of the Breath of the Wild Links, so that was kind of a bummer. I have the other ones hanging on the wall, but whatever, I'll stand him up with the rest of the games, and he'll have a happy home. Next up, I grabbed this pretty cool Super Mario Brothers question block light. They had 2 different sizes. They had this one, which is the bigger one, and they had a smaller one that was battery operated, but this one can plug in. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go with this one. So I think that was a good call. Something I needed for the darker corners of the game room for sure. Next up, I grabbed this Batman VR thing. I'd seen it previously on trips to, I think it was like Walmart and Target, and they were going for about 60 US, which I thought was a bit much for a thing you like stick your phone in. This was on clearance though for $8, and I figured, hell yeah, it's worth it just for that cool Batarang controller alone. So even if it sucks, I can take it out on somebody with the Batarang for sure. And well, at that Target, they have a really cool like game swag aisle right next to the games. Now at Target, like that every other store should follow suit, and like I'm looking at you, Walmart, and I picked up Marcus Phoenix from Gears 4. Love my Gears. That's another thing that's not a secret to anybody. And I picked up Kratos from the new God of War series. This is an awesome figure. from Nika. Nika always makes good stuff, and that new game looks absolutely badass. I've got it pre-ordered. I'll be getting it the day it comes out, so we will find out for sure. Next thing I got, and the last thing I got on clearance, was this Marvel Legends Spider-Man black suit. I love me some black suit Spider-Man. It's probably my favorite Spider-Man. This box is pretty cool looking and a little holographic look to it. And I looked at it around Christmas time, and I think it was like 40, 50 bucks. It was on clearance for 20 bucks, and I figured, hell yeah, I'm snagging that. This last thing I picked up at the show, but it was at the bottom of everything, so I didn't get to show it off till now. Making this my 80th game that I picked up at the show, and a thing I've been looking for forever. I grabbed the Super Scope, complete in box, in amazing condition. All the cardboard, the styrofoam's all in here. The scope and the wires and the receiver are all in their plastic and everything. He had it up for 80 bucks. I talked him down to 60. I've seen this in stores before for like 150. Like even one time I saw it for 200 bucks, and I was like, oh man, I really want it, but I know there's only like 9 games that use it. I'm pretty sure I already own most of them. So I'm definitely happy to finally have the Super Scope. The box is just the icing on the cake, but happy to have it. I don't know where I'm going to put it, but I'm happy to have it. Alright, that is it for my pickups from the Midwest Gaming Classic Trip 2018. I'd say that was a successful haul, and overall it was one of the greatest moments of my life, definitely. I can definitely say meeting all my friends that I've had for a long time, and meeting new friends, and just all the experiences I've had this entire weekend through the trip. The trip back in the storm was even not so bad with the cool friends we traveled with. I couldn't think of a way it could have gone better aside from the weather being a bit better. I will definitely be returning next year, and I thank everyone for the great times and the shopping fun. And we'll catch you guys next year at the Midwest Gaming Classic 2019, which I hear is going to be in June. So if that's true, that'll be amazing to not have to worry about more crappy weather. Hopefully. It is still the Midwest. Alright, thanks for watching. I know this was a long video, but thanks for sticking around, and I'll catch you guys later. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tell me what your favorite pickup of mine was, or tell me what you picked up yourself if you happen to be there. Alright, catch you guys later.
Like, yeah, he goes down there.
Time to go, everybody!